Welcome to Winning on Wednesday. My name is Juan Vides, and the purpose we're here is to simply get to know each other. I always say people do business who they know, like, and trust. Speaking of knowing and liking and trusting, I would like to introduce one of our new WOW members, believe it or not, and I'm really fortunate and excited to introduce him, Jeff Kothe. How are you, Jeff?
I am awesome, but I am improving.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us tell us where it all began. Tell us a little bit all about where it all got started.
Well, I'd happy to. First of all, thank you for having me. And I'm really impressed with the WOW group. The mind meld is amazing. The one of the reasons I start the conversation with "I am awesome, but I am improving." I call it a scratch the record technique. And the reason for that is I'm basically a corporate comedian. I say basically, I've got about several plates in the air going, and I help businesses add humor to the workplace, and for several reasons. One, leadership is seen as more approachable when they use humor. The employees are seen as more creative when they can think out of the box and go that route. But the biggest one is this. I found out a long, long time ago, 80% of sales are made between the fifth and the 12th touch. If you give your sales pitch and they give you, I want to think about it, and you know in your gut that they won't remember your offer or even your name past dinner time, I fix that. I want to make you more memorable because if you don't get to touch number two, touch number 5 through 12 are pretty much impossible, right?
Yep.
So humor makes you different. And in my industry, I'm in the insurance industry, it's no more evident than in insurance because everybody is selling the exact same policy by law. And what I want to do is make sure that you've developed a strategy to differentiate yourself. It's
Yep.
more important in insurance than almost anything else. So I have developed a strategy. I'll talk about it a little later. It's to convert
Yeah.
IRAs
Uh,
into tax-free accounts.
I couldn't agree more but the humor helps with sales. It helps with learning. Humor is great. It's positivity overall. It's overall positivity. So we really want to know, where did it all get started? Where did it all begin? Where were you born?
I was born 14 inches below my mother's belly button, but that's kind of personal. So uh, I, that is so disgusting at one point, but I've been using it for 40 plus years, and I think it's funny, and it didn't offend my mother. And anyway, rest her soul.
Well, it's Mother's Day tomorrow, right? Mother's Day is tomorrow. So in honor of Mother's Days, right?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Sure. I grew up in Northern Illinois. I went to the same high school as Danica Patrick, if you know who that race car driver is. I
Yes.
tell people we are the most famous people from that high school, although nobody knows who the hell I am. I graduated probably 25 years before she did. Anyway, I have split most of my adult life between Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I was told I pronounce it Wisconsin because of my I didn't know I had an accent until I was 46. Anyway, Wisconsin and Arizona, mostly because the climates are so similar. Now I'm just checking to see if you're listening. Anyway, I've been connected to the insurance industry for 40 years. The biggest reason is the unemployment rate when I got out of college was about 14% in Northern Illinois. And I took a commission job because they would take me. Uh, that was the only reason. And I got to be somewhat of an IRA expert, qualified money, tax qualified money expert. And I had a couple of relatives that got fleeced by, I call them financial experts with my little quote fingers, for the simple reason that a year after they lost over half of their accounts, I couldn't find either one of them in the business. One of them was selling refrigerators at Sears. I went, oh, okay, good. At least you get out of the business. So
So let me ask you a question. Have you always had that you were sales or what? I mean, what made you get into insurance? Like when you were a kid, did you have any interests or hobbies that geared you into this industry, or did guided you, or did you anything that kind of
not a one. I'm laughing because I've never really been asked that question before. My father built houses and did everything but lay the brick in building the house, and I got exactly zero of those genes. I tell people if I have anything more than a light bulb or a screwdriver in my hand, back up because something bad's about to happen. And I even questioned the screwdriver. And many times I've busted myself in the mouth prying something, using a screwdriver all wrong. I got none of those genes. So
Right.
the thing I liked about it was he was his own boss and he determined his income. And I associated that with the sales part of it. Hey, the better you get, the more income you make. And I've always been considered fairly intelligent. I've got a high IQ. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just kind of explaining where this came from and figuring out things, puzzles. The puzzle was, hey, how do I become a millionaire? Those kind of things.
Mm.
I got to be pretty good at that kind of thing. So I went into business because in sales, almost all of my production has been 1099. I don't think I've ever punched a time clock unless I was under 20 years old. My goal is to try and do my own thing, which makes me weird from most from the perspective of most people. It's like my wife, how come you don't have a guaranteed salary? Because I don't want one. I want to be paid exactly what I'm worth, no more, no less. So that's pretty much where it came from.
And so tell us about like again, where'd you what was your degree in?
I have a degree in psychology, and I tell people that in 4 quarters will get you a dollar almost anywhere. Um, I get asked, do I use it? I guess if I'm in sales, I'm kind of using it even subconsciously to a point. But I picked up really strange things from psychology, like roses are red, violets are blue. I may be schizophrenic, but at least I have each other. Uh, those kind of strange things is like, wait a minute, that but the one thing that was interesting to me is I have used comedy in my sales presentations all my life and didn't really realize what I was doing until I reflected back on it. I have dreamed of being a comedian since I was about 7 years old. I
Oh
have
wow.
studied comedy. If you tell me, oh, who's that comedian who says, and you tell me a part of it, I can probably tell you who it
So
was and probably finish the bit. Um,
uh,
to
um,
me, there's nothing like the high of getting an audience of whether it's one person or 300 people or thousands to get them to laugh at something goofy I dreamed up in my head. Uh, People tell me all the time we need more comedy in the world, and I agree and entirely.
yep.
And so what I did was I developed I'm developing, it's being built, a podcast called Undeterred. My favorite word in the English language is undeterred, except it's two words. It's undy and turd. And I think that's hilarious.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the whole idea is cancel culture just irritates me. The people who are offended on behalf of somebody else, I'm sorry, you got to go. Okay, that doesn't make any sense to be offended on behalf of somebody else. But what I'm coming from an age, I'm 63 years old. I'm coming from an age where if you saw something on television you didn't like, you changed it to one of the other two channels. There were only three. Okay.
Hmm.
Or, I mean, you certainly didn't, well, social media didn't exist. You didn't go write a letter. You just turned it off or changed it to something else. And people today, I look at it, it's the anonymity that I think is the problem. I'm going to get on my high horse here. If if you were walking down a hallway and you're going to a corner and you're going to turn right, and somebody cuts you off in that they're on the left side of their road and they bump into you, first of all, they probably apologize and realize that they were driving on the wrong side of the road and they will, and there's no conflict. If they were in cars, there might be an accident. If they avoided the accident, you might have a certain finger flown at you as they drive off. But on the internet, they make a big deal out of it, and these Karens and Chads, I understand, is what they're being told, being named, I should say, and they put the information out there, and they look for people to agree with them for their own sake of being recognized. And to me, that's sad because if that's how you want to be recognized, you're missing something.
And we were talking about positive and negative right before earlier. You want to put out positive content, positive in the world. Positive energy, positive vibes. Why would you want to do anything negative?
Well, and my podcast again, undeterred.com, and it will have a YouTube channel named the same. Shameless plug.
It's
The
okay.
idea is not just to put funny stuff on there. I want to know the process that people use to build their comedy or their humor or what they find funny. Because back when COVID started, I went to a lot of Zoom comedy shows. And to say that they sucked would be an understatement. Most people don't know how to build a joke. There is an art to it, there is an actual science to it. And I'll plug Judy Carter's book, The Comedy Bible. uh, that's how I learned to do comedy and build it myself.
I,
Anyway,
w- I,
and Jerry Corley's another one.
I, w-
But
I was just gonna ask you who's your favorite comic.
my favorite comic is George Carlin because
Oh
he was
yeah,
one of the
yep.
first.
No.
And then two of them that are I'm going to go also rants. If I had to choose, Jon Stewart of the Daily Show fame, and then Ricky Gervais. The reason I
Mm.
like Ricky Gervais so much is he's not afraid to say his mind.
Oh yeah,
He doesn't slander. He's not beating people down. He points out things. And Jon
true.
Stewart, I was asked a long time ago, if you were to have one person in your life that you could be an intern for a year, who would it be? And it would have been Jon Stewart. People think that he's a political humorist,
I
and to be political, you have to know both sides.
I I
And
don't
I
know.
think
I
I
don't know if
think
you
he'd
know.
be president.
I don't know if you know this comedian, but it was my for me best comedian for all time. I mean, my one of my original. But I got to see him in person and live too, and show him before he passed. It was Don Rickles.
You could not do Don Rickles these days
No,
on
oh no, oh no,
TV.
no, no, so oh no. But you know what? He was a really good soul. If people who knew him behind the
Oh
scenes,
yeah,
he was a real human. Because what he was doing, it was just the persona, right? But the
yeah.
real people, he always giving back. He was a real good human being. You know what I mean? So,
I absolutely, and I admire what he does. He was very quick.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
I always compare Don Rickles to the movie Blazing Saddles. Do that movie. You can't.
Oh no, no,
Nobody's
no, not
going to
anymore.
remake that movie,
but
right?
but that was an art, if you think about it at that time,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
but yes, you got to do, yeah, you also have to know the political climate or the weather out there and how you approach comedy, because again, it's like you said, it's different times, different eras, and but again, it was always there, but it was mean well. It wasn't like
Sure,
negative, you know what I mean? It was always meant well in a positive way.
sure. I would love to do crowd work, and I've always been afraid to do it on purpose. There's comedians like Ian Bagg is one of my favorites. He's Canadian, and he doesn't do his material. He goes out there and he just starts talking to the crowd. And the closer you are to the stage, the more likely you are to be talked to or about or with or whatever. And it's interesting. I've always been afraid to just do that and do it on purpose. But I remember I did one show, and it was a college town, but there were three bachelorette parties in my audience, and I did not do a single line of my own material. I did 20 minutes, and I absolutely destroyed the place. They shined the light on us, said, "Hey, you got to get off." I go, "Why?" I said, "But we want our chance at it too." Then I found out at the end there was one lady who came up and says, "I'm not very happy with you." I said, "Oh, great, I offended her." Just, we had a bachelorette party, you didn't even pick on us. I go, "Oh, great." She's upset she didn't get heckled. Okay. So that's how I knew the show was a big success, is then when they're complaining that they didn't get to be part of it. That was fun.
Yeah. I was just thinking about one somebody who I saw before he got big was Jeff Dunham with the puppets,
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
him
yeah,
live.
yeah, yeah, I saw him live too. I saw him, he came to my local comedy club and I was like, "Oh, pretty cool." And then see him on TV. It's like, "Holy cow."
One of the things that I thought was impressive, if you remember John Panette, he's passed away, but he did a bit where he talks about going to a Chinese buffet. And you've been here 4 hours, you go home now. And you scare my wife. Any not bad impression, but John Panette I saw twice within about a 2 month period, and he did an hour and a half show and never did any of the same material. And you know how hard it is to come up with 3 hours of good material
Oh
and
yeah.
remember what you did before and not do any of it again. Daniel Tosh is another one. One of the reason I brought this the whole thing up with Carlin Gervais and these guys is they are seen as very intelligent people because they are
Yes.
wordsmiths.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? I'm smart enough. I should be able to give this a shot. And I
Yep.
got dared to take a comedy class. My ex-wife said, well, there's a comedy class. And I went in there and they said, well, the final exams to do 5 to 7 minutes at the comedy club. By the way, the number of people in the class was 26 the first day. After it was announced that the final exam was to actually do 5 to 7 minutes, it was 12. Most of them went, I don't think so. I enjoyed that.
Well,
That was
wow,
fun.
that's great. So so we were going to your degree that you're telling us your job. Tell us about. I like to call this section the golden nugget, right? So if there's any piece of information that you'd like to leave behind that you learned from your journey, what are some of the things that can leave could better a person or help their careers? What are some information you could help us with that?
Um, I would say the number one thing for an entrepreneur or almost anybody is to make yourself memorable so you get more chances to help people. I've been fortunate in my career or careers that I've been able to help people. I've been in insurance and helping people with their retirement accounts. I've been in solar. I've been in medical devices for something that was a personal thing as well. And if again, 80% of sales are made between fifth and the 12th touch. If you don't get to that point, you're losing 80% of your sales. I don't know anybody who would want to just walk away from 80% of their sales. So making yourself memorable. If it's humor, great. If it's a better strategy, like in the insurance game, they're all selling the exact same policy. So you got to come up with something different. One of the things I'll give one away that it just works so well is I started out, I'm 25 years old out of college and talking to people in their 70s. And one of the things I used to do just to get the endorphins going, said, hey, you guys been married a while. How did you guys meet? Nobody's asked them that in 50 years, right? And I got some of the coolest stories out of doing that. And I know they remembered me just because I asked that. There was one that was so funny. They said that it was a blind date, and she goes, "Yeah, I don't think it went very well either." I go, "Oh, geez." I said, "Well, it had to go pretty good." Well, we had another one. It didn't go that much better. I was like, "Holy cow!" Anyway, so making yourself memorable, differentiate yourself somehow. Like I said, in insurance, it's very difficult to do when you're selling the exact same product, and you can't incentivize, you can't give away prizes or anything like that to be able to differentiate yourself. So you got to have a better strategy or be funny in the conversation. I'll never forget this. I was talking to a man and a woman doing a health application. She said he knows all my health history. She goes off into the kitchen. I don't know what, doing dishes, whatever. And I asked, I said, has your wife had any major surgeries or anything medical? He said, well, yeah, she had a vasectomy. I'm going, I bet that would have hurt. I said, I could have made him feel bad, but you mean a hysterectomy, right? And got my head nodded like that.
Yeah.
But that was over 30 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. That was so funny that he was so confident. Well, she had a vasectomy. I said, I bet she didn't.
Wow.
Uh,
But
uh, Go ahead.
I think that you're absolutely right that you have to show value, right? And the fact that you cared, that you showed you cared, that's left an impressional impact on some people because, like to your point, nobody taking the care out of 50 years to ask that question how they met. That's wow. Like you actually do care. You're not somebody who's just selling me vanilla ice cream. Because everybody else sells vanilla ice cream, but what makes you different? He actually took the time to get to know me and ask, you know, questions that nobody's asked before. So that's a value, and that you stand out. That makes you stand out, and it's interesting about incentivize. Yeah, it's always good to have something to incentivize. I'll give you a story that I just did yesterday at a trade show. We were giving out because I do protected gear with Port West. We were getting out gloves, right? But I got smart enough. I said, okay, we're gonna get your information first. Give me your information, your email, your address, and I'll give you a free glove. So you got to incentivize this. And a lot of people signed up. So I got over 114 people signed up at one event because
Nice.
because they wanted something. You got to incentivize. It's something, it's incentivized. It's value. We're talking about value.
There's a buddy of mine who's a business consultant, and he says, sell like a drug dealer. Give it to him, give him something of value first, whether you think drug dealing is value. Anyway, Give them something of value so they give you some. Don't ask for their name and email address without giving them a reason to give it to you. Giving them the gloves and something they need anyway.
Right.
Absolutely it
They
works.
were yeah, so they it really attracted them. And but it's always, you got to put of something of value to people, because it's not, they're not going to sign up for you, they're not going to do surveys for you. And just think, by putting it on social media, it's not going to, people are not going to go, and it's what's in it for them.
Yep.
But that's definitely good. What about communities or network events or organizations you belong to? You belong to any comedy clubs or anything like that, that you or
I would love to say I own one, but
okay.
here's my goal with the podcast. I want to get back when COVID started. I lived in Texas at the time, and I was just down the street from a bar that had, I don't know, 50, 60 beers on tap, and they had a brick oven pizza that was fantastic, and they had no happy hour. Now, I'm originally from Wisconsin, and no happy hour is not only sacrilege, it's offensive. And I thought, why? They had one person who did trivia on, I think, Tuesday nights or something. That's all they had. When you go to a bar at 5 o'clock and there's 12 people in the whole place, that I just go, who's running this place and how long have they been doing it and how are they enjoying their brand new job or their last day? And I said, you know what? If I was to do a comedy show here and put it online on YouTube live, sell tickets to it, and do a decent show instead of what I had seen as the Zoom comedy, and give a drawing so that, as an example, your second drink is free if you show up at the venue. I want people there. It's always better for a comedy show than online. And the bar pays for that second drink, but I'm going to help fill the place. And I keep the ticket cost to put more into the show, get it bigger, do it locally first, then regionally, invite other bars, have a drawing for them. They get something if they're in attendance and so forth, and build it to the point. If you've ever seen the show Kill Tony, it's Tony Hinchcliffe is doing a show. It's basically a roast battle, but it's down in Joe Rogan's bar in Austin, Texas, the Mothership Comedy Club. I shouldn't say a bar, his comedy club, and it has grown to the point where they have sold out Madison Square Garden. That's a really big comedy show in anybody's regard, and that's what I kind of wanted. That's my passion, to build something like that. I've produced my own comedy shows pretty successfully, and I want to build something that people go, you know what? It's comedy, a live comedy show that they don't have to actually get up, go, be forced to buy two drinks unless they want to, those kind of things. And by the way, the more you drink, the funnier I get.
Is
that's
it is that is
that's
it
very old.
is that a two drink minimum? Because in most comedy clubs, it's a two drink minimum.
It's two something. If you want
It's
to eat and have a soda, or
it's
that's
always
some,
two something.
they want you buying
Of
something.
course.
That's how they make the money, and there's a lot of times where they don't charge that much for the ticket simply because the comedian gets 50% of whatever is sold at the door, and the rest of it, anything else they sell, they get to keep 100% of the profit. So there's a lot of deals like that, but that's the business side of it. I'm more interested in getting something built where they have another option for comedy. At I live in the east side of Mesa, Arizona, and there's not anything on this side of town for comedy. The closest one, I know it may not sound like a big deal, but it's probably 18 miles away. Probably like I've pasted off. Anyway, it's a long ways away.
I do drives, because I live in Long Island. So in Long Island, we got to drive. Like if it's an hour drive, or if it's like an hour drive, right? Would you say, or 2 hour drive, right?
Yeah, it's not quite that bad because
Yeah.
there's a highway that's mostly a straight shot over to it. But if you got a two drink minimum and you got to drive for an hour
Oh yeah.
or even a half an hour
Oh
or
yeah, that's not
five
cool.
blocks for Pete's
Oh,
sake,
forget about it. Yep.
um, now you got to go, okay, Uber, Lyft, or something like that,
Hmm.
and it becomes a big financial burden.
Right.
And if I can get them to do a virtual show
Oh
and have them
yes.
stay at home and still have an incentive to do it, That's kind of what I'm thinking
Oh
about
yeah,
building.
and you
So
can party. You got BY. Bring your own beer, right? Bring your own booze.
if you're watching it at home, you certainly can.
Bring your own
You
beer.
bring your own
BYOB.
anything you want.
Bring your own anything. Bring your own pet. Bring your own things. Hey, that's a good name for another show. Bring your own stuff.
Bring your own meth. Bring your own crack cocaine.
Oh my god!
You know, I think those are
You just take it to the other extreme. Just wait
I
Jeff,
say
I
stuff
was
like
right
that.
here. Jeff, I was
Yeah.
just right here, and you just went, whoa! It went, woo!
And you're talking to a guy who has never so much as even tried marijuana.
No, I know.
And it's legal here. And I haven't
Well,
tried, I
you
have no
you even
interest.
you never you no alcohol, no nothing. That's awesome. That's amazing that you know
Well, anybody who
no
knows
coffee
me,
and no coffee for you. I got to give you
yeah.
credit. That's this is my
I'm 6'2", 350 pounds. Coffee stunts my growth. Maybe I should have drank a little more of it when I was younger. Anyway, no, anybody
uh,
who knows me hears the don't doesn't drink anymore. It's an anymore, not a never.
oh okay, never okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I quit last year, and
Oh,
uh,
I thought it was yesterday. Oh, just now, about an hour ago. Oh, okay, that's it.
I quit almost every day. It's something that's very easy for me.
You
No,
see, I can mess with it because you're a comedian, and normally said as other guests, I have to be very serious. By the way, so this is very great. This is wonderful that we, they interviewed a comedian.
just remember, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight when you're talking to a professional comedian, and if you start to pick on me, that kind of thing. But
No,
um,
no.
if you don't mind, I would like to talk a little bit more about my easy Roth converter. Uh,
That's where I was gonna go to. That's where we were gonna lead up to. Yes, absolutely. Because yeah, we leave the best for last.
that's this is my passion, and here's the reason why. There's an awful. I've been in the marketing side of insurance for 23 years, I think, something like that. And one thing I realize is there's a lot of agents out there just doing the normal thing, and they don't really look for new strategies. The biggest thing they're looking for is leads. But here's the thing: I've got a statement that you can make to somebody that they go, "Wait a minute, what?" And that's what I think is really unique about it. So I'm gonna actually read it because I've worded I say it different almost every time. So can you repeat that? I say I doubt it. I made it up, but it's got bullet points to it. If you could convert your tax deferred IRA, tax deferred is great, right? But the piper has to get paid eventually. It's an IRA account, 401k. There's all kinds of different names for them. They're all basically tax deferred accounts. And convert it to a totally tax free account in a Roth and never drop below your original deposit to pay taxes. Would you like to see how it works? In other words, you put in 1 million, your taxes get paid, your account never drops below 1 million. Who would say no to that? Somebody else is going to pay my taxes on an account I've never seen the money, right? I've seen a statement with the amount on it. I have no idea why I do that. That's holding the statement, I guess. Uh, the idea of being able to convert it from, oh my God, I've got a huge account with tax burden all over it. And 73, at age 73, I got to pay taxes on it, our required minimum distributions, RMDs. That's going to be bad. And if I die, I'm passing on that tax burden to my children. My strategy gets rid of all of that. Now, I say my strategy, it's math, but it's a way for you to show your clients how to do this in one shot. They can go, oh, yeah, it goes from there to there. It never dropped below 1 million, and my taxes got paid and not out of my account, out of somebody else's account, and they pay attention to it and they move the money. So the software is being developed. I've got it now. It's a spreadsheet, and I'll give the presentation. But I have a software in mind. I just haven't started the building. I want more proof of concept and some tweaks to it. But the whole idea is for you to put this in front of the client, have them put in their numbers. Some people still don't believe that computers are giving you real information. They think it's all still smoke and mirrors. They put in their information, they go, oh, yeah, I started with this much. I still have that much or more, and my taxes are paid. Yeah, that sounds good. I want that. And it works. And it's been working really, really well for my agents. I want to make an offer. The first 20 agents that get into the program with me are going to be grandfathered in so they don't have to pay for the software for the rest of their lives. I want testimonials. I want proof of concept, of course, but I want people to go out there and help more people pay less taxes. And I don't think anybody's too opposed to that, right? So that's
So
that's my commercial.
okay,
By the
so
way, the agent makes a 7%
I
commission. The average deal's about 700,000 or more, and you make a 7% commission. So every pop's about 50 grand.
so let's
Not
talk about yeah. Let me talk about those agents. So they have to be an insurance agents, right? Or
basically an annuity, an agent licensed for life and health, but the life part of it is the more important part. Almost nobody has one or the other, but a life agent that writes annuities. Life insurance is great, but you have to have somebody healthy to qualify for it. An annuity, they just have to be able to sign their name. I call it the fog a mirror test. Can they fog the mirror? But all they have to do is be able to qualify to transfer that money into an account that's going to be just better than what they've got.
okay,
And they see it right away. That's the beauty of it. They
right, right,
don't have
right.
to go talk to their financial advisor, their CPA, their attorney. They look at
Well,
it and go, yeah, I want that.
well, the fact that you said you see in it, right? You know, a lot of people are a visual. Like I'm a visual person, so I like to see the charts, the graphs, the pies. I want to see the growth, you know, because when you see numbers, you see it. To me, it's like it's dull, right? It's information, it's data, right? You can see data just black and white, or you can see data like with different colors, and that's again the pie chart and the information. It's able to quickly take information, absorb it quickly, as opposed to just to staring at a bunch of numbers.
You're absolutely right. And I don't have a lot of I call it the flash of graphs and pie charts and that kind of thing in it because we're only assuming a 4% net annual return. Most people don't view that as pie in the sky number. If I was to tell you all you have to do is make 12% a year and this thing works, you go, wait a minute. I got to average 12% over 5 years. I don't know anybody who's promising that. But 4%, I can tell you the guaranteed part, the fixed account is over 3. So 4 is not a big stretch at all,
Mm,
especially over a 5-year average. So
right,
most people go, yeah, that's fairly conservative because the market's done really well over the last 10 years too.
right, right.
But
And then again, and with this Roth converter, it could be at any age, even with somebody who's just starting there, right? It could be at any age, or they have to be a certain age, or how's this work that
they
they
have to
set it up?
be they have to be eligible to move the money. If, for example, if you've got a 401k
Mm,
and you're still working, you really can't move that money till
no,
you're
no, okay,
59 and a half years old. So
okay.
this works ideally for anybody between 60 and 70,
Mm,
ideally.
that's
Will it
right.
work for other ages? It will. If there's money that is certain categories. For example, somebody who's 55, but it's an IRA, not a 401k, could they do it? They could. The other one is over 70. Let's say you're at RMD age. You're at 73 and you have to take money out and pay taxes on it. Might you be better off taking more out and paying more taxes and get rid of the RMDs completely? The answer is probably. You're also if you get, I call it, get hit by the proverbial bus, now you're passing on that tax liability to your children. Nobody started their 401k at work saying, gosh, I'd really like to hinder the taxability of my children. Okay. They're very concerned about that. And almost everybody's on the same page of, in the future, do you think taxes are going to go down, stay the same, or go up? Most everybody agrees they're going to go up, but two things they don't know: when and by how much. And that's what this protects from.
What I like about it is you're giving people options.
Not only options, but certainly better. Any of them are better than what they're doing right now.
Mm,
What they're doing right now, sorry, this is going to step on some toes. Most financial advisors, the brokers, hey, I'm going to grow that account so big you won't worry about Uncle Sam. Wait a minute. You're going to build my account and I got to pay a higher tax on a higher amount. You think I'm not going to care? I don't like that statement at all. So, you know what? I'd rather get Uncle Sam out of your pocket now and not worry about what happens to taxes and then still grow your account. After you've converted it to tax free, do anything you want with it. Give it back to that broker if that's what you think you need to do. And by the way, if your broker could have done this for you, why didn't they? I'm going to show you how to get rid of Uncle Sam. And I had one person say, well, I think my broker can do that. I bet your broker tells you they can do that, but they don't. If they could, why didn't they? That it makes them think, oh yeah, none of it has to be decided except, am I the person who's going to help guide you through getting rid of Uncle Sam in that account?
I hate to put you on the spot, but do you have a story you can share with us that you've success stories that you helped out some individuals? I mean, without and naming no names, obviously. We got to protect
Yeah.
the innocent.
Uh, just last week, we moved about a little between 1.3 and 1.4 million in an IRA.
Wow,
And the issue there was saving uh, about $450,000 of taxes
wow,
that they would have had to pay that they didn't have to pay anymore.
wow.
That's a
400.
big deal.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
huge.
but quite frankly, here's the interesting part to me: the magic of the statement, "Put in your money, all the taxes get paid, you still have your money." That's attractive. We had a gentleman with a $9 million IRA. I have never seen one that big. Okay. He was talking about $2.2 million savings by using a strategy.
Oh wow.
Okay, that's a lot of money. That I mean, just to think about, uh, show me where Target and Walmart are going to save you 2.2 million in one purchase, and all they're doing is moving the address of their money. That's the beautiful part. Nothing to qualify for. They're just
And
changing
just
the address of their money, and in that change of address, they get several different advantages they did not know about before.
wow, that's just crazy. Just one transaction, you save that money. Just that, just
Yeah,
simple moving. Just moving
yeah.
that, and you say, boom, you get this.
Swipe of a pen saved a couple $1 million on
Wow.
and by the way, this gentleman had another probably 9 or 10 million dollars in other accounts. He doesn't need this money for his retirement, so giving up an extra 2.2 million to Uncle Sam, not attractive.
Amazing.
Okay, he wants to give it to his daughters. His daughters don't want the tax burden of that. Can you imagine if you added they had three daughters? Can you imagine adding the tax burden of $3 million to your children's income and what it would do to their tax problems?
Wow.
He got rid of it. Swipe of a pen. That's what I
Amazing.
love about it is it's a strategy that you're gonna, if you're an insurance agent and want to talk about this, be glad to talk to you about it. But the thing is,
Mhm.
with a swipe of a pen, you're able to talk about something that they've never heard before. You've
Amazing.
got a strategy they've never heard, never seen, and they get it the first time they see it. Now, you as an agent, it'll probably take you three times to go all the way through it and figure out, oh yeah, that really does work. But the clients look at it, started with 1 million, all my taxes got paid, I still have 1 million. Yeah, I guess I think this makes sense. Nobody's shown me this before. Great part, it's just math. It's a strategy and how to do it. Anyway.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing your story. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to contact you?
The best way is probably to go to the easyrothconverter.com, which you see in down here. I'm on LinkedIn almost reluctantly. Sometimes I have to admit I'm not crazy about LinkedIn, but I use it because that's where people can find the business part of it. You can get on I love this. My Calendly account is calendly.com/humor. HUMOR. The American English, not the English version of humor.
There's no
And
you.
then also jeffkothe.com. And you'll at least find contact information that way. Otherwise, my phone number, it's a Texas phone number, but I'm in Arizona, 469-969-9722. I think that runs the gamut of it. You'll find all that information in about everywhere that I've got that, which means my spam is going crazy every day just to make it
Okay.
easier for you to get a hold of me.
You make the robots easier. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. And if you want to be a guest on Winning on Wednesday, simply go to our website, www.winningonwednesday.com, and sign up as a first time guest. And we hope to see you there. Thank you so
Go
much,
there.
Jeff.
It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.